Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. To bring in the movie called, What If the Transformers Landed in Horizon? Many of the Autobots and Decepticons are going to be from Generation 1, EarthSpark, Armada, Energon and Cyberverse. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Light years ago, deep in the cosmos, a unique digital entity came into being. In search of other life forms, it sent explorers out to the furthest reaches of the galaxy. These digital, mechanical beings became known as Transformers. One of the first planets inhabited was soon to become known throughout time and space as Cybertron. A civil war between them raged on. But the brutal Decepticons were driven by a single goal, total domination. They set out to destroy the peace-loving Autobots, and a war between the forces of good and evil ignited the stars. High above a primitive, green Earth, two massive warships were locked in a death grip. Inside the Autobot craft, the bridge was a chaos of sparks and steel. Sound Blaster lunged forward, his heavy hands slamming into Bumper, hurling the small Autobot across the craft. Bumper landed with a sickening crash atop the central control console. Upon impact, the spacecraft went wildly out of control. The magnetic beams connecting the ship snapped with the force of a dying star. The Decepticon ship spiraled toward the dark side of the moon, while the Autobot ship, the Ark, tumbled toward the blue horizon. Optimus Prime pulled himself out from between a pile of his comrades. He struggled toward the console, his servos whining, trying to get the ship back on course. But it was too late. Through the viewscreen, the third planet from the yellow sun rushed up to meet them. The Ark shrieked through the atmosphere, a streak of fire over the mountains of what the Nora would one day call the Sacred Land. It slammed into a giant rock formation, burying itself deep within the earth, and fell silent. The air in the Nora Valley was crisp. A young Aloy stood near the berry bushes, her heart stinging from the rejection of the Nora mother. "Children, come with me," the woman had said, her voice cold as the mountain ice. "She's an outcast, to be shunned." Aloy didn't look back. She ran. She ran until her lungs burned and tears blurred her vision. She didn't see the ground give way. With a gasp, she tumbled into the dark, sliding down a slope of slick metal and ancient stone. "Aloy, Rost, down here, Rost, Rost." Silence. Only the drip of water echoed in the deep. "Aloy, he won't hear me." Some kind of cave. She stood up, brushing the dirt from her tunic. But this wasn't a cave of stone. The walls were made of a strange, dull purple metal, ribbed with glowing blue lines that flickered like dying embers. As she walked deeper, she found a strange device attached to a skeletal figure in a metal suit. She picked it up, a focus. She clipped it to her ear, and the world changed. Purple light scanned the room, revealing symbols she couldn't understand. But as she rounded the corner into a massive, vaulted chamber, the focus began to scream with warnings. "Warning! Sentient energy detected, system reboot in progress, TELETRAN1. Aloy froze. In front of her wasn't a metal devil, like the Nora legends described. It was a giant. It sat in a massive chair, its body red and blue, its head crowned with silver horns. It looked like a god made of iron, sleeping in a tomb of technology. Suddenly, a computer voice echoed through the chamber, vibrating in Aloy's chest. "Teletran 1. Atmospheric sensors, online. Survival systems, stabilized. Searching for local lifeforms. Scanning." A beam of light swept over Aloy. She backed away, her hand reaching for a bow she didn't have yet. "Teletran 1. Lifeform identified, human. Primitive. Proceeding with emergency awakening. Wake up, Optimus Prime." The giant in the chair groaned. The sound was like tectonic plates shifting. A blue light ignited in the giant's eyes, illuminating the dark ruin. Aloy, whispering, What are you?" The giant tilted its massive head, looking down at the tiny girl. "Optimus Prime. I am, a spark, that has traveled far. Little one, where is the rest of my crew? Where is Bumblebee? Where is Ratchet?" Aloy stared in awe. She had fallen into a hole and found something the Nora would fear more than any Sawtooth or Watcher. She had found a living machine. The years had changed Aloy. The small, curious girl who fell into the ruins was now a young woman of fierce grace and unmatched skill. But the world had changed, too. The machines, the Nora knew, The Striders, the Watchers, the Sawtooths, were no longer the only things of metal that walked the sacred land. Aloy followed the trail, her focus pulsing with a strange, high-frequency blue light that she had learned to recognize over the years. It wasn't the jagged red of a corruptor or the steady white of a grazer. It was the signal of the Autobots. She found Rost standing on a high ridge overlooking the valley near the north gate. Beside him, partially hidden by the shadow of the great metal devil's jagged legs, stood a yellow and black figure that towered twice as high as a man. Aloy, Rost, I've been looking everywhere. Why did you leave without a word? Rost turned, his face etched with more worry than usual. He gestured to the machine beside him, Bumblebee, Cyberverse. The scout's door wings flickered, and his mechanical whirring sounded like a rhythmic hum. Bumblebee, sorry, Aloy. I had to pull him away. We picked up a signature near the ruins of the Ark. It wasn't friendly. Rost, he is right, Aloy. 2 days before the proving, and the metal giants are restless. The one they call Megatron has moved his forces closer to the border of the Embrace. Aloy, the Decepticons. My focus has been picking up their chatter for weeks. It's different this time. They aren't just scavenging for Energon, they're talking to the machines. The other machines. Bumblebee, his radio voice clicking through different Nora dialects. Megatron, Cyberverse, is trying to interface with the local AI. If he gains control of a cauldron, he won't need a ship to conquer this world. He'll just build an army of Thunderjaws. Aloy looked out over the horizon. In the distance, a streak of silver and red cut through the sky, Starscream Armada performing a scouting run over Nora territory. Rost, the matriarchs believe these Transformers are spirits of the metal world, sent to punish us. They do not see the difference between the red eyes of the Decepticons and the blue eyes of the Autobots. Aloy, then I'll have to show them. After I win the proving, I'll have the answers. I'll know why I was cast out, and I'll know why Optimus Prime, Cyberverse, and his crew landed here the same night I was found. Bumblebee, Optimus is waiting for you at the hidden base, Aloy. Ratchet, Cyberverse, has finished tuning your bow with some Cybertronian upgrades. He calls it Shock Arrow 2.0. Wheeljack, Cyberverse, helped, so try not to let it explode in your hands. Aloy smirked, checking her quiver. Aloy, I've handled Sawtooths and Watchers my whole life. I think I can handle a little Autobot tech. Rost, are you coming? Rost, I will watch from the shadows, as I always have. But be careful, Aloy. The Decepticons have deployed a scout near the proving grounds. A tracker named Barricade, Cyberverse. He knows you are coming. Aloy looked at the stone Bast had thrown at her years ago, still kept in her belt as a reminder. She looked at the giant, friendly yellow machine, and then at the mountains beyond. Aloy, let him come. I'm not a child in a hole anymore. Deep within the mountains, in a darkened cavern where the air smelled of ozone and oil, a single red eye ignited. Shockwave, Cyberverse, Lord Megatron. The human female's focus has been successfully traced. She is heading toward the Nora settlement. Megatron, Cyberverse, excellent. Let the Autobots play at being guardians to these primitives. While Optimus Prime protects their mud huts, we shall seize the All-Mother Mountain. If my calculations are correct, that mountain is not a god, it is a gateway to this planet's ancient manufacturing hubs. Starscream, Armada, and if the Autobots interfere, my lord. Megatron. Then they shall rust alongside the rest of this world's failed creators. Soundwave, Cyberverse, deploy the Decepticlones. The proving shall be their final exam. Aloy, I'll do what I have to. Where's he go to? She looked up at Rost, standing on the rock. Aloy, he's just standing there. What's going on with him? Rost, you're here. Rost, Aloy, you're here. I've been thinking about your training, and the things you've seen in the metal ruins. There is trouble, Aloy. Not just the madness of the machines, but a darkness from the stars. Optimus Prime, Cyberverse, warned me that the Decepticons are moving. You need to be ready. Hunt the parts for fire arrows. Aloy nodded. She knew that Blaze was more than just fuel. To the Transformers, it was a crude but effective source of energy. As she moved through the valley, a blur of yellow and black zipped through the tall grass beside her. It was Bumblebee, Cyberverse, staying low to avoid being seen by Nora Braves. Bumblebee, using radio clips, be careful, watch out, Decepticon scouts detected. Aloy, I see them, B. My focus is picking up a signal near the scrapper site. Stay back, if the Nora see a walking spirit, they'll lose their minds. Aloy gathered the blaze and the shards. She felt the weight of her training. For years, she hadn't just been learning to hunt. She had been learning from RCS how to move with agility and from Ironhide G1 how to strike where it hurts. She reached the outskirts of Mother's cradle. Karst was waiting, looking more jittery than usual. Karst. Well. All Mother protect me. Did you see it, girl? The blue one with the wings. Windblade, Cyberverse they call her. She flew over the village last night. The matriarchs are in a panic. Aloy, I'm here for the Tripcaster, Karst. Not a ghost story. Karst. Ghost story. Ha. I saw a red one, hotshot armada racing through the woods faster than a broadhead. Here's your weapon. Just keep it away from me. I don't want to be here when the giants decide to step on us. The sun set, and the red moon of Earth rose over the north gate. Rost led Aloy into the true wilds. The air was heavy with the smell of ozone. Aloy, that carcass. What sort of beast was that? Rost, a sawtooth. But look closer, Aloy. Aloy turned on her focus. The sawtooth's chassis was glowing with a jagged, purple energy. Aloy, this isn't just a derangement. This is Shockwave, Cyberverse. He's been experimenting on them, hasn't he? Rost, the giants call it Dark Energon, corruption. It makes the machine twice as angry and 3 times as deadly. This hunt is yours, Aloy. I cannot help you. Even Optimus will not interfere. You must prove you can stand against the metal that has no soul. Aloy moved into the grass. The sawtooth let out a mechanical roar that sounded like grinding gears and digital static. It wasn't just a machine, it was a weapon. She set her Tripcaster wires, reinforced with alloy scrap given to her by Wheeljack, Cyberverse. When the sawtooth charged, the shock didn't just stun it, it disrupted its corrupted signal. Aloy notched a fire arrow, aiming for the blaze canister. Whip. The explosion was a brilliant orange, silhouetting the massive machine as it collapsed. Aloy stood over it, her breathing heavy. Rost. The strength to stand alone, Aloy, is the strength to make a stand. To serve a purpose greater than yourself. The Autobots fight for a world that isn't even theirs. Why? Aloy. Because, all are one, as Optimus says. Rost. Remember that. Tomorrow is the proving. You will win your answers, but the world is growing smaller, Aloy. The war between the Autobots and Decepticons will find its way to our gates. You must be the bridge between our people and theirs. Aloy. I understand, Rost. I'll see you at Mother's heart. As Aloy walked away, she didn't see the shadow high above. Starscream Armada hovered in jet mode, his sensors locked onto the girl. Starscream. Lord Megatron, Cyberverse, the human has dispatched the test subject. She possesses the focus device. Megatron. Overcoms, let her run her little race, Starscream. When the proving begins, the Decepticlones will ensure she never crosses the finish line. Cybertron's future begins in the ruins of All Mother. As Rost handed Aloy the pendant, his eyes flickered toward the high ridges. He knew that Bumblebee, Cyberverse, and RCS were stationed in the shadows of the cliffs, watching over the girl they had come to see as a spark of hope for this primitive world. Aloy, I'll be wearing this when I find you. Rost. May All Mother bless you, Aloy. When the gates opened and Teersa welcomed her, the crowd's murmurs weren't just about the motherless outcast. They whispered about the blue light in the sky, Windblade, Cyberverse, who had been seen circling the sacred land. Aloy moved through the village, meeting Teb, who gave her the new outfit. Teb mentioned that the thread was reinforced with strange, glowing fibers he'd found near a crash site. Unbeknownst to him, he had used scavenged Autobot circuitry to weave her armor. Then she saw Karst, who looked more nervous than usual. Karst. Aloy. Careful, did you see the one with the wings? Swoop. No, Starscream, Armada. He's been seen over the ruins. The matriarchs are saying the sky is bleeding. But the real shock came at the matriarchs' lodge. As the Sun Priest struggled to read the apology from Sun King Avid, Aloy's focus spiked. Warning. Decepticon encryption detected. She locked eyes with Olin. His focus wasn't just a relic of the old ones, it was pulsing with a jagged, red light. When Aloy confronted Olin, the tension was palpable. Aloy, who says I'm like other Nora? What's wrong with your focus? Olin. Apologies, a malfunction. In reality, Olin's focus was being remotely accessed by Soundwave Cyberverse. The Decepticon Spymaster was using Olin's eyes to map the Norris, All-Mother, Mountain, searching for the Prime Core. Aaron stepped in, oblivious to the digital war happening in front of him. He talked of Meridian and the Oseram, but mentioned something that made Aloy's blood run cold. Aaron, you think the machines are getting meaner? My sister Ursa says she saw a tank that turned into a man near the border. A giant called Megatron Cyberverse. He didn't just attack, he commanded the stalkers. As night fell, the ceremony began. Aloy lit her lantern for Rost, watching it float into the dark sky. High above, hidden by a cloaking field provided by Mirage G1, Optimus Prime Cyberverse watched the flickering lights. Optimus Prime. Internal comms. The girl has the focus, and she has the spark of a warrior. Ratchet, ensure the proving grounds are monitored. If the Decepticons move on the aspirants, we will ignore the Prime Directive and intervene. Inside the lodge, the air was cold. Bast continued his taunts, his heart full of spite. He didn't know that his cherished memory of scarring Aloy was a drop in the ocean compared to the storm coming tomorrow. Vala. Nice job handling Bast. Get some sleep, Aloy. Tomorrow, we run. Aloy lay in her bunk, the pendant from Rost clutched in her hand. Her focus hummed, picking up a faint, distant signal from the mountain. It wasn't a human voice. It was a rhythmic, mechanical beat. Signal identified. TELETRAN1 data burst message, protect the key. Protect the girl. Aloy closed her eyes. Tomorrow, she wouldn't just be running for the Nora. She would be running for the future of two worlds. The mountain of All-Mother was silent, but for Aloy, the silence was screaming. The last thing she remembered was the heat of the explosion, the fire that took Rost, the cold steel of the killer's blade, and the terrifying sight of machines that didn't just roar, but spoke in digital shrieks. As she tumbled down the cliff, she had seen a flash of blue and red through the smoke. Optimus Prime Cyberverse had been there, his massive form locked in combat with a shadow that looked like a tank, Megatron Cyberverse. But the giants had been too far. The explosion had been too fast. Aloy's eyes snapped open. The ceiling wasn't stone. It was white, sterile metal, glowing with a soft, rhythmic light. Aloy. Rost. No. No, no. I have to get out of here. I need my focus. No. She reached for her temple. Her skin was bare. The device that had been her link to the world, the gift she had shared with Bumblebee Cyberverse and Ratchet Cyberverse during their secret meetings, was gone. Aloy. Rost saved me. They must have found me before I bled out. But why is no one here? Where am I? She swung her legs off the bunk. Her body ached, but the wounds felt sealed. The medicine of the Nora was good, but this felt like the repair nanites Ratchet had once described. She stumbled toward a door made of thick, geometric steel. It didn't have a latch. Voice. Identification required. The door hissed open. Beyond it sat Tirsa, her face lined with exhaustion and relief. Beside her, lurking in the shadows of the high-tech hall, was a smaller mechanical figure. It wasn't a watcher or a strider. It was RCS, her sleek blue and white frame hunched to fit the ceiling height. Tirsa. She is awake. Goddess be praised. Lansra. From the doorway, to take her there is blasphemy. And to allow that demon machine to stand guard over her. Tirsa, you invite the end of the world. RC. Her voice sharp and metallic, I've told you, priestess. I'm not a demon. I'm the reason she didn't bleed out in the dirt. Aloy stared at RC, then at the sacred walls of the mountain. Aloy. RC. You were there. Where is Rost? Tell me he made it. RC looked down, her optics dimming for a brief second. RC. We were intercepted, Aloy. Shockwave Cyberverse and Soundwave Cyberverse deployed a jamming field. We couldn't get the Ark into the air in time to stop the ambush. Bumblebee tried to catch you, but he was pinned down by Barricade Cyberverse and a swarm of Decepticlones. Tirsa. The metal giant speaks the truth, Aloy. When the killers struck, the sky turned to fire. These Autobots, they fought to protect us, but the mountain was already burning. It was the Metal Mother herself who opened her doors to save you. Only you. Aloy. The killers, they had a focus. Just like mine. And the man, the one who killed Rost, he had help from the red-eyed machines. RC, that wasn't just a man. That was a puppet of Megatron. They are looking for something inside this mountain, Aloy. Something called a Prime Core, or a Master Registry. My leader, Optimus Prime, is outside at the gates, holding back a Decepticon siege. You need to find your gear. You need to find your focus. Aloy looked at the massive, sealed door at the end of the hall, the one the Nora called the All-Mother. It wasn't a god, it was a bunker door. And for the first time, it was glowing with a signal she recognized. Signal detected. Accessing Autobot encryption, user identified, Aloy. Aloy, they didn't just kill the Nora because of me. They wanted what's behind that door. And Ross died to make sure they didn't get it. She grabbed a nearby spear, one that had been reinforced with a Cybertronian Energon edge by Wheeljack Cyberverse. Aloy, I'm going out there. And then I'm going to find the man who took my focus. And I'm going to find Megatron. The Valley of the Embrace was no longer the quiet sanctuary Aloy had known. The air hummed with a different frequency now, the heavy, rhythmic thrum of Cybertronian sparks mixed with the screeching madness of the corrupted machines. Aloy moved through the brush, her eyes fixed on a herd of Striders. Attached to her spear was the override device, a piece of tech that Ratchet Cyberverse had spent the last night fine-tuning inside the mountain. Aloy, I need to test this. Ratchet said it would bridge the gap between their tech and ours. She lunged, jamming the spear into a Strider's neck port. Blue sparks showered her armor. The machine bucked, then went still. Its red eyes flickered, turning a steady, calm blue. Aloy, Thataboy, you're not a slave to the madness anymore, are you? From the ridge above, Bumblebee Cyberverse watched, his door wings twitching with excitement. He gave a short, digital whistle, a sound that the Nora took for a strange bird. Aloy looked up and offered a small, grim nod. The scouts were watching her back. Aloy rode the Strider toward the Embrace Gate. The sight was devastating. The massive wooden fortifications were splintered, but standing among the human braves was a red-painted giant, Ironhide G1. He was currently reloading a massive arm cannon, his heavy treads leaving deep ruts in the mud. Varl, watch yourselves. They're coming back. Aloy, Varl. The gates, they're shattered. Varl, Aloy, you're the one the metal spirits call the Chosen. Teersa said you survived. And as you can see, we have had unconventional help. Ironhide G1, his voice like grinding gravel, those corruptors are using Decepticon subroutines, girl. They're tougher than the scrap heaps you're used to. You really going to Meridian? Aloy, the matriarchs made me a seeker, Ironhide. I'm going after Olin, and whoever commanded those killers. Varl, Sona is missing, Aloy. My mother. She went after the killers near Devil's Thirst. RCS went with her, but we haven't heard a signal in days. Aloy, I'll find them, Varl. I promise. Aloy traveled north, the landscape scarred by purple-tinted, dark energon, corruption. At Mother's Crown, she met Maria. The village was on high alert. High above, Windblade Cyberverse circled the peaks, her jet form a silent guardian against Decepticon seekers. Maria, the hero of Devil's Grief. I heard you fought alongside the Yellow Scout during the massacre. Aloy, we did what we could. Varl told me you know the way to Meridian. Maria, the way is shut, Aloy. The Karja have sealed Daytower. They're terrified of the machines, and even more terrified of the Silver One, Megatron Cyberverse. His voice has been heard echoing from the ruins of the old ones. Aloy, I'm not afraid of Megatron. I've seen what Optimus Prime Cyberverse can do. If the Karja won't open the gate, I'll give them a reason to. Aloy reached the Karja border fort. It was a chaotic scene. A corruptor, its frame jagged and spiked with Decepticon alloy, was tearing through the outer barricades. It wasn't just throwing rocks, it was emitting a high-frequency pulse that caused the Karja soldiers to collapse in pain. Karja guard, turn back, Nora. This is a demon of the sun. Aloy, it's just a machine. And it's a poorly coded one at that. Aloy moved with the agility RC had taught her. She notched a fire arrow, the head tipped with a refined energon catalyst from Wheeljack Cyberverse. Whip. The arrow hit the corruptor's heat core, and the explosion was blindingly white. The machine shrieked, its digital voice mimicking the screams of Starscream Armada before Aloy lunged in with her spear, overriding its core. The machine slumped, its red eyes fading to black. Karja guard, truly the sun shines upon us. A Nora girl has slain the demon. Aloy, it wasn't the sun risking its ass down here. Open the gate, I have an appointment in Meridian. The heavy stone doors of Daytower groaned open. As Aloy walked through, she saw a shadow on the balcony. It wasn't a guard. It was Soundwave Cyberverse standing perfectly still on a distant cliff, his sensors recording every move she made. Aloy, whispering, I see you, Soundwave. Tell your master I'm coming for my focus. The Grave Horde wasn't just a tomb of men. It was a tomb of giants. As Aloy rappelled into the cavernous hangar, the scale of the destruction became clear. The Metal Devil, a Horus Titan, wasn't just dormant, it was shattered, its tentacles frozen in mid-strike against something that had burned hotter than 1,000 suns. Inside the facility, Aloy found the remains of the Operation Enduring Victory soldiers. But among the rusted assault rifles and exoskeletons, she found strange, oversized weapons, cannons that no human could lift. Aloy, silence. Are you seeing this? These weapons, they aren't human. Silence. The records from this era are fragmented. But it seems General Hares accepted help from unconventional allies in the final days. Aloy scanned a frozen battlefield tableau. A human soldier was encased in ice, his hand reaching out to a massive, severed robotic hand. The hand was blue and red. Aloy, an Autobot. They fought here. They died here defending the humans. Silence. A noble gesture. And ultimately futile. The Pharaoh swarm consumed them just as it consumed everything else. The cyber metal of their bodies was a delicacy for the Horus. In the war room, the holographic ghosts of General Hares and Elizabeth Sobek played out their desperate gamble. But as the projection flickered, a third figure appeared in the background of the recording, a towering hologram of Optimus Prime, G1. Optimus Prime, hologram, General Hares, my Autobots will hold the line at the Grave Horde. Ironhide and Jazz have volunteered to lead the vanguard. We will buy Dr. Sobek the time she needs for Zero Dawn. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings, even if it means our end. General Hares, hologram, Godspeed, Prime. If this, Zero Dawn, works, maybe one day we can repay the debt. The projection ended. Aloy stood in silence, the weight of the past crushing her. Aloy, they knew. Optimus knew they were going to die. And he sent them anyway. Silence. Sacrifice is a variable in any war, Aloy. The Autobots calculated the odds and made their choice. Now, focus. The Eclipse are waking the Deathbringers. But my scans detect something else. A signal from deep within the Metal Devil's chassis. As Aloy entered the hangar, the Eclipse were already there. But they weren't just tinkering with the Deathbringer. They were welding purple, jagged armor onto its hull, Decepticon technology. Cultist thug. Watch out. The intruder. Aloy. Another, Kopesh. And this one can move. The Deathbringer roared, its cannons glowing with dark energon. Aloy rolled, firing shock wires to trip its legs. But before she could strike the final blow, a shadow fell over the hangar. A massive, rusted hatch on the Metal Devil's back blew open. From the smoke emerged a figure that made the Deathbringer look like a toy. It was Blitzwing, G1, his triple changer form rusted but functional. Blitzwing. Switching faces to Hothead, intruders. Crushing you will be fun. Aloy, a Decepticon. Here. Silence. It seems some of them went into stasis lock inside the Titan, feeding off its reactor. You cannot fight a triple changer, Aloy. Use the Deathbringer's heavy weapons against him. Aloy scrambled up the frozen scaffolding. She overrode the stunned Deathbringer, turning its own turrets toward Blitzwing. Aloy, eat this, you three-faced scrap heap. The barrage of missiles slammed into Blitzwing's chest, knocking the Decepticon back into the pit of the Metal Devil. He roared in rage, transforming into a tank to shield himself, but the ice beneath him gave way, burying him deeper in the mountain. Outside, the wind whipped at Aloy's face. She looked at the hologram of the Earth, the globe. Aloy. Zero Dawn, it wasn't a weapon. It was an arc. Just like the one the Transformers came in. But for life. For us. Silence. A poetic interpretation. But now we have a practical problem. The orbital launch base is under the Sun Ring. And Hades isn't alone. Soundwave Cyberverse has tapped into the Focus network. If you go there, he will see you instantly. Aloy, you said we could crash the network. Silence. Yes. There is a relay station in the canyon. It's guarded by Barricade, Cyberverse, and a squad of Viacons. If you destroy the transmitter, Soundwave will be blind for a few hours. Long enough for you to infiltrate the Citadel. Aloy, Barricade. The one who pinned down Bumblebee. I owe him a few arrows. Silence. Don't let revenge cloud your judgment, Aloy. He is a Decepticon enforcer. He does not feel pain, only data damage. Aim for his joints. Aloy slid down the rope, the snow crunching beneath her boots. She checked her quiver. She had fire arrows, freeze arrows, and now, plasma arrows, gifted by Wheeljack. Aloy, let's go break some toys. The crash of the network had been a success, but the cost was a ringing in Aloy's ears and a fresh hatred for Silence. As she picked herself up from the dusty ravine floor, her focus crackled. It wasn't Silence this time. It was a scrambled, panicked signal on a secure Autobot frequency. Signal intercept. Autobot emergency channel, source. Cliffjumper, G1, pinned down. The mining camp, it's not just a dig site. They're pulling something up, looks like the nemesis of Arg. Aloy looked back up toward the ridge where the Eclipse base smoked. The metal devil, Hades, she had seen wasn't just a dormant processor. It was being fed, and guarding it wasn't just human cultists. Through the smoke, a massive, blocky shape emerged. It was purple and black, with a singular yellow eye that scanned the destruction. Shockwave, Cyberverse. Shockwave. Logical assessment, the network is down. The human female has escaped. Illogical conclusion, the Autobots allowed this sabotage. Beside him, a seeker jet transformed in midair, landing with a heavy thud. Skywarp, Armada cackled. Skywarp? Who cares? The boss says the Dark Star Saber is almost unearthed. Once Megatron has that, he won't need a network. He'll just slice the mountain in half. Aloy froze. The Dark Star Saber. Ratchet had told her stories of that weapon, a sword made of dark energon, capable of slaying primes. If the Eclipse were digging it out of a Titan's corpse. The trek to Sunfall was grueling. The desert sun beat down on Aloy's armor, but she pushed on, driven by the need to beat the Decepticons to the secrets of Zero Dawn. As she neared the Citadel, the ground began to tremble. It wasn't an earthquake. It was heavy footsteps. Aloy, more machines. No. This is different. She crested a dune and saw them. A convoy of Shadow Carja Kestrels, escorting a massive, floating platform. And on that platform sat Megatron, Cyberverse, his chassis gleaming in the sun, a dark, jagged sword resting across his knees. Megatron. Let the humans play at their politics. Today, we claim the legacy of the Primes. The Citadel wasn't just a palace, it was built on top of the orbital launch base. And Megatron knew it. The infiltration of the Citadel. Aloy slipped into the city using the chaos of a sun show as cover. The arena was packed, but instead of a behemoth, the crowd was cheering for a gladiatorial match between a trampler and Grimlock, Cyberverse. The Dinobot was in robot mode, wielding a massive energetic sword, roaring at the crowd. He wasn't a prisoner, he was a distraction. Grimlock. Me Grimlock no like puny humans cheering. Me Grimlock want smash Decepticons. Aloy. Whispering, Grimlock. What is he doing here? A hand grabbed her shoulder. She spun around, drawing her knife, but stopped. It was Erend, but he looked battered. Erend. Easy, girl. I'm on your side. And so is the big lizard in the pit. Optimus sent him. He says if you're going to crash the Sun King's party, you'll need a dinosaur-sized diversion. Aloy. Where is Silence? Erend. The blue light man. He's gone dark. But he left a back door open into the palace vents. You go find your secrets. Grimlock and I will keep the Shadow Carja busy. The sounds of the sun ring, the roar of Grimlock and the gasps of the crowd, faded as Aloy shimmied into the vent. The air grew colder, smelling of stagnant water and ancient, ionized metal. Aloy crawls through the vent and drops down into a massive, dark viewing room. Aloy. I'm in. Silence. Welcome to Project Zero Dawn, Aloy. Or at least, the entryway. Aloy. It looks like a theater. Silence. A briefing room. This is where the old ones were told the lie that sent them to their deaths. Aloy scans a data point. It flickers to life. A hologram of General Hares appears, but he isn't alone. Standing next to him is a hologram of a massive robot with a cannon on his shoulder, Ironhide, G1. General Hare's hologram reports from the Wichita salient or Grim. The swarm has overrun the mechanized divisions. Ironhide hologram, my Autobots are holding the line, General. But Megatron and his Decepticons have allied with the swarm. They're feeding the Faro robots Cybertronian tactics. We can't hold them forever. General Hare's hologram, you don't have to hold them forever, Ironhide. Just long enough. Operation Enduring victory depends on it. Ironhide hologram, size, liquidate the enemy. We'll buy you your time, Hares. But make sure it's worth it. The hologram fades. Aloy, they knew. The Autobots, they fought a war they knew they couldn't win. Silence, they fought to buy time. For Sobek, for you. Aloy moves deeper into the facility. The architecture changes. Human concrete gives way to smooth, purple and orange metals, Autobot construction. Aloy, this door, it's massive. Too big for humans. Silence, the Autobots helped build this facility. Their engineers, Wheeljack and Hoist, reinforced the structure to withstand the orbital bombardment. She enters a room filled with models of machines. But mixed in with the Watchers and Thunderjaws are models of Transformers. Aloy, look at this. The machines, they were based on them. She scans a terminal. A hologram of Elizabeth Sobek appears, talking to a small, blue and white robot, Tailgate G1. Elizabeth Sobek hologram, the Hephaestus sub-function needs a template, Tailgate. I can't just program animal instincts from scratch. Tailgate hologram, you want to use our biology. Our transformation cogs. Elizabeth Sobek hologram, just the basics. The capacity to adapt, to reconfigure. If Gaia is going to rebuild the biosphere, her machines need to be versatile. Like you. Tailgate hologram, as long as you don't give them personalities, Dr. Sobek. You don't want a terraforming machine having an existential crisis. The hologram glitches and ends. Aloy, so the machines, the Striders, the Sawtooths, they're echoes of the Transformers. Silence, crude imitations, soulless copies, but effective. Keep moving, Aloy. The central AI chamber is ahead. That is where we will find the master override. Aloy forces open a stuck door. Inside, she finds a gruesome sight. A corrupted Deathbringer is fused into the wall, but impaled through its chassis is a rusted, giant Energon axe. Aloy, someone fought here. Inside the facility. Silence, the Decepticons must have breached the perimeter in the final days. She scans a nearby audio log. Audio log. Last stand, voice. Ratchet, Cyberverse, Optimus. The blast doors are compromised. Soundwave has hacked the locking mechanism. Voice. Optimus Prime, Cyberverse, hold them back, Ratchet. Dr. Sobek is sealing the core. If the Decepticons reach Gaia, they will corrupt the future before it even begins. Voice. Megatron, Cyberverse, the future belongs to the strong, Prime. Open the gate. Let me see this. Zero Dawn. Sounds of massive explosions and metal tearing. Aloy, they were here. Megatron was here. Silence, but he failed. Obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Aloy, I need to know why. How did they stop him? She enters the main presentation room. The good news and bad news holograms await. Aloy, this is it. The truth. Silence. Brace yourself, Aloy. She activates the terminal. The room darkens. General Hare's hologram, it wasn't a cure. It was never a cure. The hologram shifts to Elizabeth Sobek, looking tired, with Optimus Prime standing silently in the background, his head bowed. Elizabeth Sobek hologram, Project Zero Dawn, isn't about saving the world we know. It's about creating a new one. Optimus Prime hologram, we have failed to protect this planet, just as we failed Cybertron. But in this failure, we find a new spark. Zero Dawn will carry the seeds of life, and the history of two worlds. Elizabeth Sobek hologram, a super-intelligent, automated terraforming system. An AI capable of bringing life back from extinction. We call her Gaia. Aloy watches as the hologram displays the sub-functions, Ether, Poseidon, Demeter, and then new, unfamiliar icons appear alongside them. Aloy, wait, those symbols. Silence, look closer. The hologram zooms in on two additional sub-functions attached to Hephaestus and Apollo. Elizabeth Sobek hologram. To ensure the machines can protect the new humans, we are integrating the Vector Sigma protocol. And to ensure they never make our mistakes, the Matrix database. Aloy, Vector Sigma, Matrix, Silence, Cybertronian artifacts. They merged their very souls with Gaia. Aloy, so Gaia, she's part Transformer. Silence, it would explain why Hades hates her so much. And why the Decepticons are back. They want to extract those artifacts from the system. Aloy, if they do that. Silence, Gaia dies. And life on Earth ends. Again. Aloy, I need to get to the Master Override. I need to get to the office of Elizabeth Sobek. Silence, then go. But be warned, the Eclipse are scanning the facility. I detect Laserbeak in the ventilation shafts. Move fast. The Sun Ring was a cauldron of noise. The crowd bayed for blood, their voices mixing with the mechanical snarl of the corrupted behemoth. Its gravity generators pulsed with violet dark energon, tearing chunks of masonry from the floor. Aloy stood alone. No armor. No weapons. No focus. Helios, let her be the first of thousands. The behemoth charged. The ground shook, not just from the machine's weight, but from the raw power of the corruption flowing through it. Aloy sprinted, sliding under the massive hose just as the gravity crush slammed down, pulverizing the stone where she had stood a second before. Aloy, panting, okay, big machine. Angry machine. Think, Aloy. The pillars, they're holding up the platform with my gear. She looked up. High above, her weapons and armor were suspended in a cage. The behemoth roared, a sound that was strangely layered, like two voices screaming in unison. Aloy, hey, over here, you ugly heap of scrap. She stood in front of the massive support pillar. The behemoth turned, its optic burning red. It lowered its head and charged. At the last second, Aloy rolled. Crash. The impact shook the entire stadium. Dust rained down. The crowd gasped. Helios, she mocks the sun. Crush her. Aloy, 1 down, 2 to go. She baited the machine again. And again. On the second impact, the behemoth's armor cracked, revealing Cybertronian plating underneath. It wasn't just a Pharaoh machine. It was a hybrid. Aloy, it's a Decepticon drone. The third pillar shattered. The support structure groaned, and the cage holding her gear crashed to the arena floor, bursting open. Aloy, finally. She scrambled for her bow. But as she reached for it, a shadow fell over her. 2 corruptors leapt from the stands, pinning her down. Helios, enough games. End it. The behemoth raised its gravity generators for a killing blow. Aloy closed her eyes, gripping her spear. KKR Choo Choo Ka Chunk. The sound of transformation echoed through the arena, louder than the crowd. Suddenly, the massive iron gate at the far end of the arena exploded inward. A metal T-Rex, gleaming in silver and gold, stomped into the light. He opened his jaws and let out a roar that silenced the entire citadel. Grimlock, Cyberverse me Grimlock no like bullies. Aloy, Grimlock. The Dinobot charged. He didn't use finesse. He didn't use tactics. He slammed his head into the behemoth, sending the massive machine flying across the arena like a toy. Shadow Karja Spectator, by the sun. A metal dragon. Grimlock. Transforming into robot mode, drawing a massive sword me Grimlock King. You puny Decepticon wannabes go crunch. He swung his sword, cleaving a corruptor in half. The other corruptor turned to run, but a bolt of blue plasma blasted it from the stands. Aloy looked up. Standing on the VIP balcony, holding a sniper rifle, was a sleek, red Autobot. Hot Rod, Cyberverse, did someone order a rescue? Sorry we're late, the traffic in Meridian is killer. Aloy, grabbing her equipment, you're right on time. Helios, abominations. Demons of the dark. Grimlock. Me no demon. Me Dinobot. Grimlock breathed a stream of fire at the royal box. Helios and his guards scattered, diving for cover as the throne melted into slag. Hot Rod. Jumping down into the arena. Aloy. We gotta go. Megatron knows we're here. Aloy. My focus. Helios destroyed it. I can't reach Silence. Hot Rod. Don't worry about the spooky guy. Wheeljack whipped up a spare. Catch. He tossed a new focus to her. Aloy slapped it onto her temple. Silence. Voice crackling. It took you long enough. The Shadow Karja are mobilizing the entire Citadel Guard. Get out of there. Aloy. Nice to hear you too, Silence. Hot Rod, Grimlock, move. The trio fought their way toward the exit. The Shadow Carja poured into the arena, but they were no match for a Dinobot. Grimlock chewed through their ranks, literally, while Aloy rained blast wire arrows on the reinforcements. Helios, screaming from the ruined balcony, close the gates. Bar the way. Do not let the savage escape. The massive outer gates began to groan shut. Aloy, we're not going to make it. Hot Rod, oh yes we are. Grimlock, batter up. Grimlock, me like this game. Grimlock grabbed Hot Rod, who transformed into his sports car mode in midair. With a massive heave, the Dinobot threw the car over the closing heads of the Shadow Carja. Hot Rod, in car mode, woohoo. Aloy sprinted, vaulted off Grimlock's knee, and landed on Hot Rod's roof as he hit the ground drifting. Grimlock transformed back into Dino mode and smashed through the closing gate, tearing the hinges out of the stone. Grimlock, puny gate weak. They speed out of Sunfall, leaving chaos in their wake. Aloy, clinging to Hot Rod's roof, that was close. Hot Rod, you call that close? You should have seen the time I raced Blur through the sea of rust. So, where to, boss? Silence, north, to the ruins of the US Robot Command. I've arranged transport for the heavier units. We need to regroup. Aloy, no, I have the Alpha Registry. I need to go back to the Sacred Land. To the Embrace. I have to open the hatch. Hot Rod, bad news on that front, Aloy. Bumblebee just radioed in. The invasion Helios talked about. It's happening. The Eclipse and Starscream, they're hitting the Nora right now. Aloy, then drive faster. Grimlock, running alongside the car, me Grimlock hungry. We stop for snack. Aloy, not today, Grimlock. Today, we go to war. The ride back to the Sacred Land was a blur of dust and dread. The Eclipse had a head start, and Helios wasn't lying about his orders. But as Aloy crossed the border into the Embrace, she realized Helios had left out one terrifying detail. He hadn't just sent human cultists. He had sent the Seekers. Aloy crests the ridge overlooking Mother's Watch. The sky is choked with black smoke. But cutting through the smoke are three distinct, high-speed jets: Starscream, Armada, Thundercracker, G1, and Skywarp, Armada. They are strafing the Nora fortifications with laser fire. Aloy, by the goddess, flying machines. Not Glinthawks. Decepticons. She activates her new focus. Aloy, Autobots. Anyone on this channel. The Eclipse have breached the Embrace. They have air support. Ratchet, Cyberverse, static-filled voice, Aloy. Thank the Spark you're online. We're pinned down at the main gate. Starscream is commanding a squadron of Decepticlones and Deathbringers. Ironhide and RC are holding the line, but we need you to flank them. Aloy, I'm on my way. Aloy spurs her Strider down the slope. The village of Mother's Watch is in chaos. Nora Braves are firing arrows uselessly at the shielding of a Deathbringer, while Decepticlones' drone soldiers march through the flames. Varl, hold the line. Protect the matriarchs. A Decepticlone aims its arm cannon at Varl. Suddenly, a blue blur slashes through the drone, slicing it in half. RCS skids to a halt, her arm blades glowing. RC, Varl, get your people back. My plating can take the heat, yours can't. Varl, the metal spirit. We cannot abandon the mountain. Starscream, Armada transforming in midair and landing on top of the gate. Pathetic organics. Surrender the facility, or I will turn this entire valley into a parking lot. Ironhide, G1 emerging from the rubble, blast craters on his armor. You talk too much, Starscream. Ironhide fires his cannons, but Skywarp teleports in front of Starscream, absorbing the blast with a warp shield. Starscream. Decepticons. Attack. Grind them to dust. Aloy charges into the fray. She leaps off her Strider, slowing time as she aims. She isn't aiming for the Decepticons, she knows her arrows won't pierce their heavy armor easily. She aims for the Eclipse officer controlling the Deathbringer. Thwip. Thwip. Two arrows strike the officer's helmet. The Deathbringer falters, its targeting systems confused. Aloy. Ironhide. The Deathbringer is blind. Hit it now. Ironhide. With pleasure, kid. Ironhide transforms into his van mode, ramps off a fallen pillar, and transforms back in midair, delivering a rocket-powered punch to the Deathbringer. The ancient machine crumples. Aloy. Varl. On me. Varl. Aloy, you returned. And, you command the giants. Aloy, we fight together. We need to get to the mountain door. If the Eclipse get inside, it's over. They fight their way up the path. The resistance is heavy. Thundercracker G1 creates a sonic boom, knocking Braves off their feet. Bumblebee Cyberverse zips around the larger Decepticon, stinging him with electric blasts to distract him. Starscream, the girl, the one Megatron wants. Barricade, intercept her. A police car with, to punish and enslave, written on the side drifts around the corner, sirens wailing. Barricade Cyberverse transforms, deploying wrist-mounted blasters. Barricade, end of the road, human. Aloy, I don't think so. Aloy slides under Barricade's legs, dropping a tripcaster trap. As Barricade turns to grab her, the shock wire detonates, locking his servos. Aloy, RC. Now, RC. Vaulting over Aloy, target acquired. RC kicks Barricade in the faceplate, knocking him off the cliff edge. Aloy, we're clear. To the hatch. They reach the massive metal door of All-Mother Mountain. Teersa and the other matriarchs are huddled there, praying. Teersa, Aloy, the goddess has sent you. Lansra, she brings the demons with her. Look at them, monsters of iron. Ironhide, reloading, lady, I'm the only thing standing between you and a fusion cannon. Show some respect. Aloy, open the door, Teersa. I have the registry. I can heal the mountain. Teersa, but the corruption, the machine outside. Aloy looks. A corrupted Thunderjaw, infused with dark energon, is guarding the entrance. But it's not alone. Riding on its back is Kickback G1, the Insecticon. Kickback, tasty mountain, tasty metal, we eat all. Aloy, Ironhide, Bumblebee, keep the skies clear of seekers. Varl, RC, you take the Insecticon. The Thunderjaw is mine. RC, you sure, Aloy. That thing is leaking dark energon. Aloy, I've taken down worse today. Go. The battle is fierce. Aloy uses Tearblast arrows to strip the Thunderjaw's disc launchers. She picks one up, a heavy weapon for a human, and turns it on the machine. The heavy disc slams into the Thunderjaw's exposed heart, detonating the dark energon. Kickback. No. Food fight back. Varl throws his spear, piercing Kickback's wing. RC finishes the job with an energy slash. Aloy, Teersa, the door. Now. Aloy runs to the console. She uploads the Alpha registry. The red lights of the facility turn blue. Synthetic voice, Alpha registry restored. Welcome, Elizabeth Sobek. The massive blast doors groan open. Starscream, from the sky, no. The entrance. Skywarp, get me down there. Ironhide, not on my watch, Flyboy. Ironhide tackles Skywarp in midair. The Autobots form a defensive ring around the entrance. RC, go, Aloy. We'll hold them here. Find out who you are. Aloy, don't die on me, RC. RC, I'm hard to kill. Go. Aloy slips inside the mountain as the blast doors seal shut behind her, muffling the sounds of the war outside. Aloy, I'm in. Just me, and the truth. She walks down the corridor of the Cradle facility. It is silent, sterile, and untouched by time. Aloy, hello. Is anything here? Synthetic voice, welcome to ELEUTHIA 9. Brood operations are currently suspended. Please proceed to the Lyceum for educational processing. Aloy walks past rows of empty cribs. Toy blocks are scattered on the floor. But among the wooden horses and blocks, she sees a small, metallic toy, a red and blue truck. Aloy, even the children of the New World, they knew about them. She reaches the central control room. A massive holographic interface awaits. Aloy, okay. Time to meet, Mother. Aloy emerged from the mountain not as a child seeking a mother, but as a warrior burdened with the weight of two worlds. The Nora cheered her name, but their voices felt distant, drowned out by the mechanical hum of the Autobots waiting outside. Outside the massive blast doors, the scene was calm but tense. The Decepticon attack had been repelled, but the cost was visible. Ironhide G1 sat against a rock, welding a gash in his shoulder plating. RCS was helping Varl bandage his arm, her metallic fingers surprisingly gentle. When the blast doors opened, the Autobots stood up. Optimus Prime, Cyberverse, who had arrived during Aloy's communion with Gaia, stepped forward. His blue optics locked onto her. Optimus Prime, did you find what you were looking for, Aloy? Aloy, I found the truth. I wasn't born, I was made, just like you. Optimus Prime, being made, does not make you any less alive. It is our choices that define us, not our programming. Gaia, she is gone. Aloy, she blew herself up to stop Hades. But Hades survived, and he's planning something big. The signal that woke him, it wasn't just a glitch. It was a transmission, and Gaia mentioned something else. A virus that broke the shackles. Ratchet, Cyberverse, scanning Aloy with a medical beam, her vitals are elevated. But she's right. That virus bears the signature of Shockwave. The Decepticons didn't just stumble upon this world. They were called here. Aloy, I have to go to Gaia Prime. To the bitter climb. Sylens says the Master Override is there. It's the only way to kill Hades. Varl, then we will go with you. Aloy, no, Varl. You and the Nora need to go to Meridian. That's where Hades will strike. He needs the Spire to broadcast his signal. If he takes the Spire, he wakes the Pharaoh swarm. And if he does that, Ironhide, then this planet becomes a rust bucket in about 5 minutes. Optimus Prime, Ironhide, take Bumblebee and Hot Rod. Escort the Nora to Meridian. Fortify the city. If Megatron attacks, he will throw everything he has at that Spire. Ironhide, you got it, Prime. Alright, fleshly, humans. Move out. Double time. Aloy, Optimus, are you coming to Gaia Prime? Optimus Prime, I must. Megatron will be there. He seeks the matrix of leadership, which I believe Elizabeth Sobek hid within the Master Override. If he claims it, he will control not just the machines of this world, but the very spark of life itself. Aloy and Optimus traveled north, to the bitter climb. The journey was treacherous. The mountain was crawling with Stormbirds and Glinthawks, but these machines were different. They bore the purple insignia of the Decepticons. At the base of the climb, they found Sylens waiting near a campfire. He didn't look happy to see a giant robot. Sylens, a traveling companion. I prefer to work alone. Optimus Prime, and I prefer my allies to be trustworthy. Your signal encryption is impressive, Sylens. But I know you have been communicating with Soundwave. Aloy whipped around, her hand on her bow. Aloy, you what? Sylens, a necessary evil. I needed access to their data network to understand the old ones. I gave them nothing of consequence. Optimus Prime, you gave them the location of the Spire. Do not mistake my patience for ignorance. Sylens, we can argue ethics later. The Decepticons are already at the summit. Starscream has deployed a Seeker squadron to guard the entrance to Gaia Prime. If we don't move, Megatron will reach the Master Override before we do. Aloy, Optimus, can you fly? Optimus Prime, transforming into his truck mode, massive thrusters engaging on the trailer, not fly. But I can jump. Get in. Aloy climbed into the cab of the truck. It was massive, smelling of leather and ozone. Optimus revved his engine, and with a roar, he launched himself up the shattered cliffside, his tires gripping stone that should have crumbled. As they reached the summit, a missile barrage slammed into the ground ahead of them. Starscream Armada hovered overhead, flanked by Thundercracker and Skywarp. Starscream, Prime, so kind of you to deliver the key to us. Optimus Prime, transforming back into robot mode in midair, drawing his ion blaster. Aloy, get to the facility. I will handle the skies. Aloy, don't have to tell me twice. Aloy sprinted toward the ruins of Gaia Prime. Above her, a dogfight erupted. Optimus fired blasts of blue energy, while Starscream rained down cluster bombs. But the door to Gaia Prime wasn't unguarded. Standing in front of the Master Override chamber was a figure clad in heavy, gladiatorial armor, wielding a fusion cannon. Megatron, Cyberverse, so. The Savior arrives. Aloy, Megatron. Megatron, you are small. Fragile. And yet, you carry the legacy of Sobek. Hand over the Master Override, girl. And I will make your death quick. Aloy, you want it. Come and get it. She didn't fight him head on. She knew she couldn't. Instead, she shot a tearblast arrow at the unstable ventilation shaft above him. Crash. Tons of rock and snow buried the Decepticon leader. It wouldn't hold him for long. Aloy scrambled over the rubble and into the facility. Aloy walked out into the freezing wind, Sylens' lance heavy in her hand. The revelation of the Alphas, murder by Ted Faro sat in her stomach like cold lead. But there was another truth, one that Silence had glossed over. Why did Hades need the Decepticons? As she stepped onto the snowy ridge, she found Optimus Prime, Cyberverse, waiting. He was in robot mode, staring out at the horizon where the spire pierced the sky like a needle. Optimus Prime, Silence has left. Aloy, he gave me what I needed. And then ran before he had to answer for his crimes. Optimus Prime, his logic is flawed, but his survival instinct is impressive. Aloy, did you find the Master Override? Aloy, holding up the lance, I have it. But Optimus, inside the facility. I saw records. Elizabeth Sobek didn't just hide the override. She hid something else. The Matrix database. It's inside this device. That's why Megatron wants it. Optimus knelt, his massive face coming level with hers. Optimus Prime, the matrix of leadership is not just a database, Aloy. It is the collective wisdom of the primes. If Megatron corrupts it with Dark Energon, he won't just control the machines. He will rewrite the soul of this planet. He will turn Earth into a new Cybertron, a dead Cybertron. Aloy, then we have to stop him. Hades is going to use the Spire to wake the Pharaoh swarm. If Megatron is waiting there, Optimus Prime, then we will meet him together. Ironhide reports that the Shadow Carja army, led by Helios, is marching on Meridian. But they are not alone. Tidal Wave Armada has been spotted in the lake. And Devastator G1 is forming near the ridge. Aloy, Devastator, the giant one made of 6 other robots. Optimus Prime, the Constructicons. Yes, the odds are illogical. Aloy looked at the lance, then at the Autobot leader. Aloy, I don't care about the odds. I care about the future. Let's go. Aloy and Optimus arrive at Meridian. The city is in a panic, but preparations are underway. The Autobots have transformed the city's defenses. Ratchet has set up a triage center in the Hunter's Lodge. Wheeljack and Brainstorm have reinforced the elevators with energy shields. Grimlock is currently eating a decorative statue in the market. Avid, Aloy, and the Metal King. We have done as you asked. The city is evacuated. The Vanguard stands ready. Errand, ready as we'll ever be. Though I gotta admit, standing next to a robot dinosaur makes my hammer feel a little small. Aloy, it's not about the size of the hammer, Errand. It's about where you swing it. Helios is coming, and he's bringing the end of the world with him. Optimus Prime, Autobots, defensive positions. Ironhide, Bumblebee, hold the main ramp. RC, Hot Rod, take the western ridge. Jetfire, Windblade, keep the skies clear. If a Seeker gets within a mile of the Spire, I want them grounded. Jetfire, Armada, copy that, Prime. Skies will be clear. Aloy, I need to get to the Spire. That's where Hades will try to plug in. Sona, stepping forward with Varl, then the Nora will clear the path. We owe you that much, Seeker. Teb, and, I made this, for the big guy. Teb reveals a massive, makeshift cloak made of reinforced behemoth leather, painted with the Autobot symbol. Optimus Prime, taking the cloak, which looks like a handkerchief in his hand, thank you, Teb. It is adequate. The siege begins. It starts not with a roar, but with a rumble. The lake explodes as Tidal Wave Armada rises, his aircraft carrier form towering over the mesa. He launches a barrage of missiles at the city. Optimus Prime, incoming. Metroplex G1, suddenly, the ground beneath the city shakes. A massive voice booms from beneath the palace. Metroplex heeds the call of the last Prime. The very foundation of Meridian shifts. A hidden Autobot Titan, buried for centuries, begins to wake up. It doesn't fully transform, but massive defense turrets emerge from the cliffs. Aloy, you guys had a city-sized robot this whole time. Optimus Prime, he was dormant. Until now. Aloy, go. To the Spire. Aloy sprinted through the burning streets. The Shadow Carja and Eclipse poured over the walls, supported by Viacons and Insecticons. At the base of the Spire, she found him. Helios. But he wasn't alone. Standing behind him, watching the Spire with a hunger that transcended programming, was Megatron, Cyberverse. Helios. The circle closes, savage. The sun sets on your pathetic existence. Megatron. Enough speeches, human. Kill her. I have a planet to conquer. Aloy. Helios. Look at what you're serving. He doesn't care about the sun. He's a machine. Helios. He is the instrument of prophecy. Helios charges. Aloy dodges his blade, sliding under his guard. She doesn't use her spear. She uses the Master Override Lance. It pulses with blue light. Aloy, prophecy this. She slammed the blunt end of the lance into Helios' chest, cracking his armor. He staggered back, gasping. Helios, I am chosen. Aloy, you were chosen to lose. She kicked him off the platform. Helios fell, screaming, into the burning city below. Megatron, disappointing. I suppose I must do everything myself. Megatron raises his fusion cannon. Aloy readies her bow. But suddenly, a red and blue truck rams into Megatron at full speed, transforming midair into a tackle. Optimus Prime, Megatron. One shall stand, one shall fall. Megatron. Why throw away your life so recklessly, Prime? Optimus Prime. That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron. The two titans clash, metal grinding against metal. Aloy sees her chance. The interface console of the Spire is exposed. Hades is already uploading. Hades. Entity, detected. Purge, initiated. Aloy, not today. She sprinted toward the console. But guarding it was Soundwave, Cyberverse. He stood silently, his tentacles extended, plugging into the Spire. Soundwave. Operation, interference. Aloy, operation, shut up. She fires a tearblast arrow at Soundwave's visor. He stumbles back, blinded. Aloy jams the Master Override into the Spire's port. Aloy, Hades, get out of my world. The lance glows blinding white. The matrix code within it activates, flooding the Spire with pure, blue light. The red corruption of Hades screams as it is purged. Hades, critical, failure. System, purge. No, no. The Spire emits a massive pulse. The Deathbringers and Corruptors across the valley shut down instantly. The Decepticons, caught in the blast wave of the Matrix energy, are stunned. Megatron, roaring in pain as the light burns his dark energon armor. No. The Matrix. It was mine. Optimus Prime, punching Megatron in the face. It belongs to no one. It belongs to life. Megatron, weakened and blinded, transforms into his tank mode and retreats, dragging a damaged Soundwave with him. Starscream, seeing the tide turn, orders a retreat. Starscream. Decepticons. Retreat. This planet is not worth the rust. The smoke clears. Aloy stands at the base of the Spire, panting. Optimus Prime approaches her, his armor battered but standing tall. Optimus Prime. You did it, Aloy. You saved 2 worlds today. Aloy. We did it. But Hades isn't dead. I saw his signal, it fled. Silence captured it. Optimus Prime. Then the war is not over. But for now, we have peace. Aloy looks out over the city of Meridian. The Nora, the Karja, the Oseram, and the Autobots. They are cheering. Aloy, Elizabeth Sobek, she wanted to go home. I think I finally found mine. Optimus places a massive hand on her shoulder. Optimus Prime, until all are one. Aloy, until all are one. As the sun sets, casting long shadows over the land, a new signal pings on Aloy's focus. The wind howls through the red canyons of the Daunt, kicking up storms of iron sand and ash. It is a desolate place, far from the lush jungles of Meridian. A ragged column of metal figures trudges through the gloom. They are not the terrifying conquerors that marched on the Spire hours ago. They are broken, leaking energon, sparks flying from severed joints. Starscream Armada limps, one of his wings bent at a sickening angle. Skywarp Armada flickers in and out of existence, his teleport drive malfunctioning. Soundwave Cyberverse drags a silent Shockwave, whose single eye is cracked. And at the front, walking with a heavy, uneven gait, is Megatron Cyberverse. He looks catastrophic. His armor is scorched black by the Matrix energy. But the most glaring injury is his right arm. Where the massive, terrifying fusion cannon once sat, there is nothing but jagged, torn metal and dangling wires. Optimus Prime's final blow didn't just defeat him, it neutered him. Starscream. Coughing static. This is humiliating. Beaten by a truck, and a human with a pointy stick. Megatron. Silence, Starscream. Starscream. No, I will not be silent. Look at us. The Constructicons are in pieces. Trypticon is lost. And you. Starscream stops, pointing a shaking finger at Megatron's ruined arm. Starscream, look at you. You've lost your cannon. You've lost your power. You are barely fit for the scrap heap, let alone command. The other Decepticons stop. Barricade, Thundercracker, Blitzwing, they all watch. The hierarchy is crumbling. Megatron stops. He doesn't turn around immediately. He breathes heavily, the sound of his venting system struggling to filter the dust. Megatron, you think power comes from a weapon. Starscream, it certainly helps. Without it, you are nothing but a rusted relic. Megatron spins with terrifying speed. He doesn't need a cannon. He lunges, grabbing Starscream by the throat with his remaining good hand. He lifts the Seeker off the ground, slamming him into the canyon wall. Crunch. Rock splinters. Starscream gags, his optics widening. Megatron, power is the will to take what is yours. Power is survival when the universe wants you dead. I conquered Tarn. I conquered the Chaos Rifts. Do you think a missing gun will stop me? He squeezes harder. Starscream claws uselessly at Megatron's arm. Megatron, I will rip this planet apart with my bare servos if I have to. I will tear the spark out of Optimus Prime. And I will find that red-haired girl, and I will make her watch her world burn. He drops Starscream. The Seeker falls to the dirt, gasping for air. Soundwave. Step forward, playing a recorded message, Lord Megatron. Scans detect, subterranean facility. Sector 7G. Designation, Cauldron 11. Megatron looks up. In the distance, half buried in the red sand, is a massive, triangular door. A cauldron. A factory of machines. Megatron. A factory. Good. He looks at his severed arm, watching the purple energon drip onto the sand. Megatron. Shockwave. Get the Constructicons online. We are not hiding. He starts walking toward the cauldron, his eyes burning with a cold, renewed fury. Megatron. We are rebuilding. The end. And this the end of this amazing crossover What If movie. I hope you guys like it.